Welcome to the funnel. My name is John Shea, and I'm the president of Alignment Group. This is episode 181 of the funnel, 6 sales onboarding best practices. Before we get started, I just want to throw this out there to you. Go to episode 181 or just go to the Alignment Group /the funnel, hit subscribe, and I'll send you the show notes. So there's no reason for you to write your notes out, or if you're taking a long walk in the woods listening to me, or you ride your bike or hitting the elliptical, maybe you're in your car. Don't worry about it. Just go to the funnel at Alignment Group and subscribe, and I'll send you the show notes. And I'll send it to you every episode, so you don't have to worry about taking notes. All right, let's jump in. Number 1, teamwork. Number 2, library. Number 3, communication. 4, 3 buckets. 5, mentoring, and 6, map it out. So let's start with 1, teamwork. So most people, when I say teamwork, they're thinking about the sales team and the sales managers and the players on the sales team. But really where I'm going with this is the entire company. So if you kind of remember back to the 90s, it takes a village. There was even a book written, It Takes a Village. What I mean by that is there are certain disciplines within the company that sales reps need to learn about, right? And why would I have the sales manager or sales reps in the sales department walk them through that? Why would I want the sales manager to work with a sales rep on onboarding? I know it's their new employee, et cetera, but why would I want them to do things that maybe are outside of their discipline? That's 1. 2, if you're really going to build a synergistic team, it's nice to have some cross-functionality there. So things like human resources, right? Human resources does, and I'm not really talking about the 401k paperwork. This is the handbook type of stuff. But there are definitely some human resources things that they can help with. Maybe different components within the company, their role, how they're there to support employees, what their job function is, how they can utilize their resources and services beyond just here's the book. It's where do you find the information? How do you access the information? What's useful to you now? What's going to be useful to you 6 months from now? So getting them involved in the process is real important. Another example would be marketing. What's the message? How do we have our collateral laid out? Where do you access that? When do you use something? How do you interface with marketing? What are best practices for lead handoff? Whatever it is from marketing that's going to help with the messaging. And I put administration because it really depends on your company. If you're doing a lot of contract processing with a ton of paperwork, and I've come out of an industry like that where these big, thick contracts and signatures everywhere, you really don't want a sales manager, onboarding a rep with that knowledge, right? You want that knowledge transfer from the experts who are looking for it in the proper manner in their department, right? They're looking for submittal to be appropriate. And the last thing I put on here is accountability, accountable. And what I mean by that, what I'm trying to get to is that you don't just push them off to a department and say, hey, explain what you do. This is about getting together, laying out a plan, and deciding how you're going to deliver information and in the time frame you're going to deliver it. Right? So why would you, the first day of a sales rep's, employment with you, at a loss for words here, the first day they start their job, right? Why would you show them how to fill out a contract? Wishful thinking. They're not going to sell something in the first day. That might take 30, 60 days before they get their first sale, maybe even 90. So maybe something like that happens on the back end of the training, right? And everybody's accountable for their component. So if I send somebody over to marketing and I need the messaging and the content, et cetera, we're going to build out what that training looks like. We're going to get a commitment on that, and then you're going to sign off that they actually know what they're doing. So a real good example is, one of my kids is going through driver's ed, and the driving instructor, and I'm, I wish I had a driving instructor. I think my dad scarred me teaching me how to drive. But the driving instructor has to sign off on her ability to drive before she can take the next step. So not only the student accountable for driving, but the teacher. That's what I mean by accountability. Library. This is really important. And you can call it whatever you want. Resources, content bin. People have some really cool sort of names for the library. But this is where they access everything they need. It doesn't have to be in a single location, right? It depends on how you're set up. But all of your content, that's to be used. You don't want them housing it on their laptops and desktops. Why? Because then you get into version issues. Things get old and stale and they're using something older, using it out of place. So the content has to be in a way that they understand what's available to them and how they're supposed to use it and when they're supposed to use it. And whatever sales tools are available to them, whether it's CRM, templates, emails, there is a whole host of them. But having access to job aids and tools and information at their fingertips is really important to get someone in a place where they're productive for you. So the challenge I put out to my managers when we started this onboarding thing years ago, when I built my first onboarding program, was the challenge was simple. I want a sales rep to be able to walk into this building, okay, or sitting at their desk in their remote office, whatever it is, and have access to anything and everything they need to do their job. One. Two, they need to be able to do their job without asking any questions. So at the end of this process, let's say a new sales rep sells something and there's no one to help them. Can they process the order? Can they grab the information they need to make it happen? If a sales rep has an opportunity in the field and there's no one there to help them and they need content or information, how easy is it for them to find it on their own? That's what I'm talking about. Something that's easily accessible, that is in a way that they can understand it and steps them through every process. Why? Because you're teaching them step by step how to be a productive member of your company, your society. And you want to have a way for them to fall back on what they're being taught without having to pick up the phone and call you every time they have a question. So I want to talk about communication. And I think this is the root of all evil, right? Miscommunication. Happened to me recently with a posting. I thought I was clear. The other person thought they were clear. I got mad. Then I calmed down and realized that I was 50% of the problem because I didn't communicate properly exactly what I meant. I can't expect people to be mind readers and vice versa. So communication is really important with new hires and onboarding. You say, well, it's really important with everybody. Yes. But when you hire somebody, you want to start the relationship off properly, right? You want to set the tone. I want to set the tone from day one on how we're going to communicate. Quite frankly, I start setting that tone at the job offer. Here's what I'm going to do for you, and this is what you're going to do for me, and we're going to agree on that. I want a formal feedback process. I want to know what's happening in their life, and I want feedback from them. Now, I'm not going to babysit somebody. Okay, we have processes and programs that we run. We run our company a certain way, but I want to know, I want to get feedback. What are you learning? What are you benefiting from? Where do you need help? Where do you feel like we are falling down as a company? Where are you falling down? So that feedback process goes two ways. I provide feedback to you, you provide feedback to me, especially early on in the process, right? Because that establishes the relationship moving forward. It doesn't just include me. It includes all the stakeholders in this communication process. So if I have my onboarding program set up and there's some responsibilities for administration, I want clear understanding of the communication. Not only how you're going to communicate once you've taught them something, right? So this is how you process the order. This is how you communicate with our department. These are the things that the gotta haves. This is what's going to cause your order to get held up, et cetera, et cetera. And if you have special needs or help, these are the people you talk to. That's part of the communication. The other side of it is communicating to me that they understand what they've been taught. They're ready to take the field and process in order, or do whatever it is they need to do within your department, and you're signing off on that, right? So you're part of that process, and you're part of that communication process. And quite frankly, I want to know, as my sales rep evolves, are they doing what they're supposed to be doing, or are we having a problem? Well, let's go old school here. I can't read their handwriting. We need to fix that. Just using simple sort of examples here. But I think you understand what I'm saying. I hope you understand what I'm saying. Really getting everybody on the same page and making sure that we open up those lines of communication. I want to know when a rep is hired into my company, I want to know how they're doing on a week-to-week basis. I want that feedback. It's important to me because I can make adjustments. I have a formalized onboarding program, but if someone's not getting something, then I need to make sure they go back and they do that. I'll give you an example. Back in the day, again, when I set up my onboarding, and I have clients that have done this, some of it is product related, right? So you might have to do a demonstration on software. You might have to show something. Some people get it really quickly. Other people take time. I want somebody signing off on their ability to demo, and if they can't, I need to put them back through it until they get it right. Because I can't put them out in the field if they can't do what I need them to do. I want everybody on the same page. Okay, I break it down into 3 buckets. I call it the 3 buckets. People call it in anything they want in terms of onboarding. But I wanted to simplify it so we could break it down into those 3 buckets and then divide the responsibility up amongst the folks that need to do the training and provide the help that we need to get a sales rep up to speed. Bottom line here, folks, is we want to drive revenue out the door at a higher rate and a faster rate. I don't know if you know this, but in the last 10 years, onboarding takes longer and longer. People are saying like 7-9 months to get a rep up and running. And I'm pulling my hair out saying, look, maybe in a complex world it might take 4 months, but you should be able to get somebody up and running in 3 months. And don't tell me you're too busy. Build out the program and then live by it. And you'll find you will have sales reps that will produce at a much faster rate for you than you've seen in the past. So let's talk about the 3 buckets. Okay, bucket number 1 is company knowledge. I want to know everything that they need to know, right? I want to lay that out, build that into the program. Anything that's company related. And you can break that down into pieces, right? There's the internal company knowledge, like how things work, vacation policy, time off, meeting dates and times, et cetera, et cetera. Things like that, right? How to process paperwork, how to request things. That's company knowledge. Then what else is company knowledge? Well, marketing. What's our message? Who are we talking to? What do our buyer personas look like? Who's the ideal prospect? What does that look like? And what does my conversation look like with them? That's company knowledge. So you can break it down into little components and then make the assignments. Then there's product knowledge, right? What am I selling? How versed am I in the product? How much do I have to know? And what's the method for getting me there? And who do I have to prove that to before I can go out in the field and sell my product? And then what are my resources to help me sell that product? And then finally, so I have the 3 buckets. I don't want to say there's a 4th bucket. There's not a 4th bucket. In each one of those buckets, I want to score them out. I want to score them out at the end of 30 days. Minimal acceptable score. Manager signs off on it. Everybody who's doing the training and helping signs off on their component. And then we do a thumbs up, thumbs down. If somebody doesn't meet the minimal acceptable, it's decision time. Right? What's that decision? Well, if they're not making the grade, they need to go. Pretty hardcore. Or if they're really close, then I used to put it in the manager's lap. Say, okay, do you believe in this person? Yes. Okay, it's your responsibility in the next 30 days to catch them up. That's the next 30-day score needs to meet minimal acceptable. It's on you. If you believe in them that much, then I'm fine with it. Take responsibility, get them where they need to go. And we'll do some temperature checks in the next 30 days to make sure that we're moving along. And there's a whole process for that. Mentoring. This is an important part to me. I have to tell this story. It's funny and sad at the same time. So we hired a sales rep. This is back when I was VP, and we had managers in place. And this is way back when, before I even got to a more formalized onboarding. See, most of this stuff is born out of my own stupidity and mistakes. So we had a rep, and hired them, and then said, okay, this is the person you're going to work with over the next 90 days. And then somebody came over to me, my counterpart, another VP came over and said, hey, listen, I was just sitting in the bullpen filling out paperwork for somebody, and your boy's on the other side there, and he's telling this new rep how crappy the CRM is, and don't worry about there's some stuff wrong with our admin department, but I'll help you get through it. So their first day on the job, the mentor is telling them all the bad things about the company and how, wink, wink, I'll get you through it. That's not the kind of mentor you want. So you need to vet these people out. You need a sales mentor for them. You need somebody they can go to that can put a foot up their butt or a shoulder to cry on when things aren't working right, or to give them some guidance. Somebody internal. You need that formal feedback process. Right? What's happening? I want to know from the mentor what's happening with the rep. I want honest feedback, but I also want to know that you're giving them the guidance that they need. So the mentoring program takes a little time to build, and it takes time to get the right people in place, but it is absolutely a development opportunity for someone who's thinking about moving into management. A mentoring program is really good for that. If you find the right people and put them in place, you forge really strong relationships, team relationships. A more senior level person with a new person. They're imparting their wisdom inside of the context of the company message, how you want it delivered. So they're getting really good stuff. We're not saying be fake or lie about things, but don't start your relationship off with negative stuff. They come to you, something bad happens, say, you know what, sometimes this happens, this is how you work through it. Okay? Not that, they're worthless over there, they don't know what they're doing. You know what I'm talking about. That's terrible management. And you're setting yourself up for problems in the future. So mentoring really needs to be fleshed out. Finally, I want to talk about mapping it out. Mapping it out is simple. Okay? I want to know from day 1 through day 90 what this rep's doing. I want it completely mapped out. I want the score sheets. I want the 3 buckets filled out. I want to know day by day who's doing what they're being trained on, who's signing off on it, et cetera, et cetera. So I start with the calendar. Just lay it out for 90 days. This day they're doing this, and then I get everybody lined up to where they need to be. Okay? There are days in there for selling. So if you're thinking, 90 days and they don't sell. No, there's days for making calls. There's days for selling. But if you have a day or a time set up to do something, and this is where I ran into a problem in the beginning, because there'd be a selling opportunity or a call, and they'd set an appointment, on a day or a time that they had something scheduled with some training or some development. And that would infuriate me. I'm not saying give up sales opportunities, but if a prospect called you and said, hey, can you meet Tuesday at 1 o'clock, and you had another prospect meeting Tuesday at 1 o'clock, usually you say, I have a conflict. Is there another time available? Yeah, I have this time. It's not a gray area, that appointment, and there's plenty of time on your calendar, so you open it up. You say, you know what, I have a conflict. You don't say I'm being trained. You say I have a conflict. And can we schedule another time? 9 times out of 10, they say yes. So when your rep is canceling something, they're basically telling that person, I don't respect what you do. I don't respect the process. I don't respect the company enough. I don't respect your area of the company. I'm too important and too busy to respect that because I have an appointment. And it's silliness. So I want that calendar. I want key performance indicators over that 90-day period. That's the scoring sheet, right? Are we hitting those benchmarks? And then finally, I want accountability. I want to hold everybody in this process, not just the rep, everybody accountable. You can find us at alignment-group.com/thefunnel. Feel free to subscribe. We're on Facebook, at Twitter, Shay John R. At Twitter. Twitter at Shay John R. I'm on LinkedIn, Google+. You can email me, jshay@alignment-group.com. You can find us at alignment-group.com. That's it for this week's episode of The Funnel. Until next time, keep filling the funnel.